So Meta just announced this new update for health and wellness advertisers. It's already starting to affect people in supplement brands, skincare brands, and a couple other niches surrounding the health and wellness space. And basically this new update is going to make it to where you can't optimize for bottom of funnel events starting January 2025. I think it's like January between the 10th and the 20th, sometime between there is when this update's actually going to be going live. Now, what is bottom of funnel events though? Because that's the big thing. What is that considered? And long story short, you will be able not to optimize for purchase or lead gen. That's correct. So if you have a health and wellness brand or you're classified as a health and wellness brand and you go try to run a purchase conversion campaign after this update, Meta will not allow you to. And you will only be able to optimize for things like view content, engagement, and reach. Now, I'm kind of going over into why this is getting put in play, a couple things that I have speculation on right now of how to avoid this issue, also a couple things to test out, and also a couple things of kind of why I think Facebook is actually going to be implementing this specifically. And also sorry, I'm not in the usual spot that I normally film my videos. It's Black Friday week, technically Black Friday day today that I'm uploading this video, and I just didn't have time to get in the studio this week to actually film content. So just dropping these things really quick for you guys. So let's go into this a little bit more. And this originally kind of started circulating on Twitter this week, about, 4 or 5 days ago, started circulating on Twitter, Reddit, and then also to Meta Business Help Center that they released this information. Still not a lot of crazy sources that's talking about this. I think I've only seen 2 or 3 articles on actual Google from other publishers, Meta itself, and then a lot of people on Reddit that's been having this conversation. So let's go a little deeper into this. So basically, this is the data source categories in the Meta Help Center. And basically, this is going to dive into, any data that falls under any of these categories comes with restrictions. So they already have this restrictions around certain things already on Meta, and then they just updated it to add the health and wellness. And I can just move my little thing right there. Health and wellness associated with medical conditions, specific health statuses, or provider-patient relationships. So we're going to kind of go over these. What is a medical condition? What's a specific health status? And what is a provider-patient relationship? We're going to be diving into all of these today. I'm not really going to touch too much on provider-patient relationships because, to be fair, this is honestly just the easiest example right here. Let's say you have a CRM, you're a doctor's office, and you have a CRM of all your patients, and you have the Facebook pixel on that CRM. That right there is a clear provider-patient relationship type thing. We're gonna be dominantly focusing on medical conditions and specific health statuses and kind of breaking those things down of what those are, and kind of going around those things. So let's go first. First thing I want you to know is you need to understand HIPAA. HIPAA is basically the privacy policy between you going to the doctor right now and that doctor. So basically, if you go to the doctor with some type of condition and you tell them all your problems, etc., and that doctor would go and start publicly displaying that information, that's a HIPAA violation right there. And basically, any of that information that you go privately to the doctor with, if that gets released to any parties without your consent, then that's a HIPAA violation. And currently right now, if you're classified as a health and wellness brand and you're serving a medical condition or a specific health status, and someone goes and buys your product with that, hey, I have depression, or I have, high blood pressure, for example, or I have a blood pressure of 130/50. If you go with those specific conditions and you buy that product and you send that data back to Meta, that's basically a HIPAA violation because it's basically saying, hey, this person has high blood pressure. Hey, this person has depression, Meta. And it's in a way pushing your information out without your consent to these other platforms, which is technically a HIPAA violation right there. So because of this, that's kind of the reason why Facebook is pushing this. And there's a couple other things I'll bring up as well around this. And I don't have any solid proof, but I've seen a couple people say that Meta has been getting sued for this for years, and they're just finally putting a stop to it. I don't know how true that is or not, because I haven't actually seen any public lawsuits around this. But I have seen a couple people bring that up when I was browsing through Twitter around this. So let's go a little bit deeper, because I really want to understand is what is a medical condition and what is the specific health status, and what can you completely still say in ads that's okay, and what can you not say in ads right there. So let's go into and break these down. So I broke it down into a couple different things: medical condition, specific health status, and a symptom. Because a symptom you can still market to. You just can't market to a specific health status or a medical condition. And if you are, you're going to be classified as a health and wellness brand, which will make you not be able to optimize for your lower funnels events like purchases or lead gen, or those things like that, or retargeting. So for a medical condition, this is a diagnosed disease, something you actually clinically diagnosed with. You go to the doctor, you're diagnosed with this. This is diabetes, arthritis, asthma. These are diagnosed conditions. These are technically medical conditions. So if you're saying, hey, you have diabetes, try my product, then that is a no-go. And if you put that in the ad or the landing page, that's going to get you classified as a health and wellness brand. Next one is specific health status. So this one is a little bit more in that gray area for me, because I want to say you can still say like high blood pressure, that's fine, but you just can't say specifically like, hey, this person came and bought from me because they have a 120 out of over 80 blood pressure. So if you're doing like a lead gen form, for example, and you ask a question like, how high is your blood pressure? What is your weight? What's your O2 saturation? Like that technically wouldn't fly if you're capturing that specifically. But I want to say you can say, high blood pressure or overweight, because that's just more generalness to it. Whereas you can't link high blood pressure back to a specific person, whereas blood pressure 121 over 81, for example, would be lead back to a specific person, or weight 151 pounds. That's more of a specific person right there. This one, again, is a little bit more in the gray area for me in terms of like my actual understanding of it, but hopefully that makes sense right there. Now, symptoms are totally okay to still market to technically. You're not going to be a health and wellness brand if you're marketing the symptoms. Now, again, this is the landing page and the ads. It goes on both pages. You cannot market to a symptom, like you can only market to symptoms and then have a ton of medical conditions on your landing page, and that's going to get you classified, because Facebook goes one level deep. After they click your ad and go to your URL, they go to your landing page and they scan it for medical conditions and specific health statuses. So symptoms, though, these are fine because these aren't specific, like headache, nausea, fatigue. These are just a symptom someone's experiencing. So let's go a little bit deeper into this. Here's a couple examples of just technically what, I believe would be ads that would get approved versus not approved, or would classify as health and wellness versus not health and wellness. So calling out a specific medical condition on the ad or the landing page is a no-go. Calling out a specific health status. So you could say like, is your skin pH high? But if you say your skin pH level is 4.2, that would technically be a no-go. And again, the specific health status, I'm still a little bit in the gray area, but at least from my understanding of how it works, this would technically not be okay. You could say high, but you couldn't say a specific number. Now, symptom, dealing with dry, flaky patches, then that is correct right there, because it's a symptom people are experiencing, not a specific medical condition and not a specific health status. Here's another example right here. Living with iron deficiency or low B12 levels. Now, technically, the B12 levels right here, again, this is one of those where I'm in a gray area, because if you said like low B12 levels, that's not specific. Whereas if you said B12 level over, I want to say B12 is measured like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4.0, 5.0. So you would just technically say like if your B12 level is over a 5.0, then like you need to click this ad. Like that would technically be a no-go, and that would get you classified as health and wellness. Now, the next one is the symptom, feeling tired and sluggish. Our energy, multi-boost vitality in 7 days. Boom. So this would technically be good because it's more of a symptom. Now, I really want you to also really understand here is that medical conditions, specific health statuses, and symptoms, these are a little bit more vague, whereas these are more like specific. And these, like for example, if you're living with an iron deficiency, like you're only going to know that if you go to a doctor and get clinically diagnosed. Technically, if you have a B12 level under a certain number, like you're only going to know that if you've actually done like blood work and like proper medical stuff. Whereas a symptom, you don't really know yet. You don't really know any of that yet. This is all things like, oh, I have this symptom, I'm going to try this at home. Those types of things. And again, keep in mind landing pages, because landing pages is a big thing. And landing pages, product pages, whatever you're sending traffic to from Facebook, that's going to be the thing that Meta is going to scan and be like, okay, hey, he's not talking about any medical conditions or any specific health statuses. He's good. Or he is, then he's be classified as a health and wellness brand. Now, for lead gen, again, it's still a little unclear for example, like I saw someone complaining about like their chiropractor agency, what's going to happen. I'm technically not sure yet about these particular things. I'm waiting for more information to come through. At least for now, we know though, like if you go after specific conditions and stuff like that, that wouldn't be good, etc. This is just me kind of looking at like a HIPAA versus a not compliant type ad, specifically for like a chiropractor, for example. Whereas like this one right here is HIPAA compliant in terms of like experiencing back pain versus not compliant, which would technically be like showing a particular person how, they improve their L4, L5 disc herniation with targeted spinal manipulation. So like that technically wouldn't be compliant because it's going after a specifically diagnosed problem that people have. Whereas this would be compliant because it's more specifically to symptoms. Now, again, we're unsure as of now of how this is going to affect lead gen. From what I understand, it's going to be treated exactly the same. And you just need to shift from more talking to specific problems and talking to specific medical statuses and more focusing on symptoms themselves. Now, people are already getting notified. Like if this happens for you, like you're already getting notified for it. So likelihood, if you haven't gotten notified, then just maintain this guide, because like if you haven't been notified, then likely what's happening is you're not being classified at all, which is good. That's really good. But if you start making ads calling out medical conditions and you start making ads calling out specifically, specific health statuses, guess what? You can be classified, and you want to make sure you never say anything that can get you classified, because if you get classified, then guess what? Now you're stuck in this new category, which can't use those bottom of funnel events. This particular person on Reddit claims that they already got noticed, for example. This is another person that as well on Reddit specifically that get flagged for conversion optimizations and stuff like that. This particular person says they switched everything now to engagement and reach in traffic. We're in the early days right now. We don't really have a solid solution, but at least these are things that we can experiment with right now until we find that solution, just like iOS 14.5 when it hit. This comes from Rock. Sorry, buddy. I know you. I think you watch a YouTube channel, so if I'm going to butcher your last name, I'm very apologetic on that. But Rock, he put his little update that they got from Meta specifically. And I'm not going to post the whole thing, but originally the thing I really want to call out right here is that Meta even said themselves that your client will receive a notification in Ads Manager and Events Manager about which ad sets and events are impacted. So again, Meta's already done, they're kind of noticing of people and dropping notifications to people that will be impacted. So if you haven't gotten impacted yet, then likely you're good. Just make sure you don't call out any specific medical conditions or specific, what you could say, those health statuses specifically. Now, what do you need to do after this video? So what a lot of people right now, I'm seeing just general census across the board, I've done a lot of research, is that a lot of people are just simply reaching out to Meta support and seeing, hey, am I classified as health and wellness? And if you haven't got an update, like still reach out, because what that can allow you to do is maybe you just haven't got that update yet. Like you are classified, you just haven't received notification you're classified. Then from there, you can understand if you're wrongfully classified or not. If you are wrongfully classified and you don't call out any medical conditions, you don't call out any specific health statuses, then I would fight that case right there and show proof that, hey, here's my ads, here's my website, I do not. Or why am I being classified? Because we don't specifically call any of those things out. If not, then you're good. Hey, no, you're not classified as health and wellness, you're good. Keep rolling, have fun. None of this is going to apply to you. Now, the last thing is, why is Meta doing this? That's a really good question here. So there's this thing called the FDA and the FTC. These are people kind of like the overseas of the market, just to make sure people are being ethical. For example, like the FTC, there's a lot of people in like the Amazon automation space and like Shopify automation space that got hit hard by the FTC because these people were making claims that they were not backing up. You know, they were promising a ton of investors all of this money, and they were not. There was a lot of people selling courses online that you don't hear about them, or they moved to Bali, or they moved to, Puerto Rico, for example. And it's like, why? Because they legally can't come back to America, or because when they do, they're going to get hammered by the FTC because of all these claims they made, and they did not back it up. Again, key thing here, claims without backing it up. So if I go say, hey, every single person that buys my course makes them $1 million, and not a single person is doing that, and a lot of people are buying my course, I'm not backing up the claim. Like, there's no proof that my course can make $1 million. So from there, I can technically get sued by the FTC. And, we've seen this where if like during the COVID time where people start making these really big claims, like this product right here will like help out with COVID. This product right here will treat COVID and stuff like that. So like that was a great opportunity right there for us to kind of see the FTC and the FDA take action on some of these people. Because to be fair, like that was to some degree right there unethical right there. If your product has no scientific proof, no scientific studies, and you're just some random person, you go find a product online and say, hey, this product will cure cancer. Like that's very fucked up right there in terms of just an ethics standpoint. That's also going to, technically get a lot of people to buy, yes, but you're gonna have a ton of people pissed off with you that it doesn't do what it says. So the FTC and the FDA kind of exist as these people that are kind of like the equalizers that try to, like, hey, as a marketer, we want to say these really big claims and we really want to say these things that's going to grab people's attention, but also at the same time right there, we want to be ethical too, right? Because if we say too big of a claim and we get a lot of people and they get pissed off, we're going to get thrown out of business. We're going to possibly get sued by the FTC, the FDA. And like, there's this balancing act you have to do to fall right in between of not saying really much that's not getting anyone's attention versus saying these really big claims that's going to get a lot of people's attention, but possibly sue. And we first saw this back like way in the 1960s when like literally people were like, this is back in the cigarette advertising age where like advertisers were literally throwing on the fact that dentists, doctors and stuff were recommending cigarettes to like they literally had like cigarette ads that was like, yeah, smoke a cigarette a day to like lower your blood pressure. Like just the craziest things. And that's when like the FTC and FDA really started cracking down on advertising as a whole, just to be from an ethics standpoint. And there was a lot of things that they kind of did with cigarettes, to be fair, to that people no longer could say in advertising. And guess what? People adapted. And cigarettes are still a huge industry today, and there's still a lot of promotion around it. Just they have to be a little bit more, what I would say, ethical in their advertising. And for me personally, I do feel that Meta has some type of insider news that the FTC and the FDA will be doing a larger crackdown. Again, this is me personally, what I believe, because why would Meta take a huge business decision like this rapidly, right? There was no like if you look back at a lot of these other updates that Meta has done, they talked about it for a couple months before it happened. If you look at like flexible and dynamic creative, like they've been promoting for the last like 6 months that dynamic ads will be going away soon. Whereas like this literally just dropped on people's plates a week ago, and we have like 30, 45 days to prep, and then that's it. And also to a very large, like this is going to severely impact sales for a lot of people that are classified, that are pushing as medical conditions and stuff like that. This is going to severely hurt a lot of people that are spending like millions of dollars a month in advertising. And why would Meta sacrifice all of that ad spend? Because again, that's how Meta makes their money. The more money you spend, the more money they make. Why would Meta as a business sacrifice a lot of that in terms of like, oh shit, hey, we have to do this, or like, you know, like we're going to technically lose a lot of money from this decision. Why would they do it so fast? Why would they go ahead and make this decision the last second with little to no thing? And I do believe there's some larger crackdown that'll be happening by the FDA and the FTC, and Meta's just trying to take preliminary measures to quickly be correctly compliant before, you know, this big thing happening. Again, that's just my hypothesis, my conspiracy theory, whatever you want to make it as, but that's what I personally believe. So if you have anything in terms of like possible fixes, drop them below. I'm using this as pretty much an open discussion right now. Again, I don't have any data to back it up, but this is just a couple things that I'm thinking about right now for possible fixes. Because again, you know, update hasn't happened yet, so there's very little information we know around this. Number one is if you're not classified as a health and wellness brand, then I would be looking at all of your ads. I'd be looking at all of your landing pages, product pages, everything, and make sure there's no medical conditions that are clinically diagnosed. There's no medical statuses. Again, if it's just like high blood pressure, I'd be fine. But if it's like, is your blood pressure 180/80, then I would be removing that specifically right there. I would be removing all of that if you're not classified as health and wellness already. Why? Because if we can limit the possibility of us getting basically like added as a health and wellness brand, then guess what? That's going to kind of help us like prevent having to go through that change and that update right there. Now, if you do need to focus on these, like you have to, like you specifically sell some type of medication for people that, or in this exact thing, like I know there's like, you know, companies that literally send like testosterone to your house for guys who want to do like TRT and stuff like that. Like there's very specific things that you can't really just call it a symptom. You actually have to call it a medical condition. Then this is where we have to start looking at engagement campaigns. You know, there's engagement, there's traffic campaigns, and there's reach campaigns. That's what we saw in that one particular person with Reddit. Again, once I have the data, then I can specifically say, but me personally, I'd probably lean more over to the engagement campaign right there. Engagement, or I would be leading more towards video view campaigns, because you can optimize for people that watch a video. And then you're just basically just going to optimize for like through plays, which technically would be the people that watch the video for the longest, because technically if someone watches a video for a long period of time, they're likely interested in that particular video. So I would do that, and then I would send people to a webinar funnel. Again, it's only a HIPAA violation if you send data back. So if we send people to a webinar funnel they have to opt into, and we hold that information, we do not send it back to Meta, you wouldn't be able to see CPL or leads on a campaign level, but at least you're still collecting emails for your own use and your own data. Then you can actively use like email marketing to market to these people, and, you know, remarket to them, schedule calls, all that good stuff right there. And that's something right there. Again, it hasn't hit me yet. I haven't had any issues with this. I haven't personally had to like do this. It's only been on our plate for the last 7 days. But at least that's one of the hypotheses I would test to see how that would work right there. And last thing is just give it time. You know, just like iOS 14.5, everyone was in freak panic mode, all of that good stuff. And then over time, you know, just it improved. We didn't really have any issues with it. I mean, technically, like it's still an issue, but like if you look at the general census of market now compared to a couple of years ago with iOS 14.5, very different of how everyone thinks about it. Like people literally thought Facebook ads were done for, and then guess what? Everyone adapted and everyone's fine. I do believe the same thing will happen here. New innovative technology will come out. New businesses will boom, just like iOS 14.5 with all these different attribution softwares. New businesses will boom and will help us to where, we'll likely look at this and like laugh at it again and like, remember when that happened? So yeah, remain positive, remain faithful, give it time, and we'll see what happens. Thank you all for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you have any other opinions, questions, thoughts, ideas around this, please let me know below. Love to see what you guys are thinking about this as well. And y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Peace.